we're in the trenches.
And you know what? We got to pour one out for the former Summer League center, Jay Huff, signed with the Denver Nuggets.
I don't have a drink. I don't have a drink. How can I cheers? Give me your water bottle. I need something.
So, sometimes what happens is that these guys leave, and unfortunately, like Boyz II Men said, it is so hard to say goodbye to what we had yesterday.
I think it's way too poignant for a player like Jay Huff, but sure, I'll give it to you.
I'm just really feeling nostalgic here.
I guess so for a guy named Jay Huff.
I got really Jay Huffer Jr.
He was
Big Green.
I know who Jay Huffer Jr. is, Justin. You didn't need to reference the movie.
I love Big Green.
I know you love Big Green. I'm more of a Brink guy,
All engine running.
Teach man. Hey man.
Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
What is going on, everyone? You are listening to The Summit State of Mind, the podcast of dream shakes and step backs and everything Houston Rockets, presented to you by the Apollo Podcast Network. I am your host, your Commissioner Kenny. With me, as always, is my brother, my tag team partner, the GM Justin. Follow all of us on all social media platforms at JP_Mirabueno, at SummitCommish, at Summit SOM Pod, and at Apollo NBA, and at Apollo H. We're also happy to announce that we are going to drop a giveaway for the Clutch City gear. GM, can you tell the people one time what they have to do to follow us on this giveaway to get some free swag?
Well, make sure to follow Sam and Davey over on Twitter and follow at Summit SOMPOD. Yeah, right. That's us on Twitter as well. And you would be entered for a chance over to win some awesome Clutch City gear from Sam and Davey.
Like what I'm wearing currently.
Also, make sure to retweet that. Did I say that? Did I forget to say that? Retweet.
You should have said retweet.
I should have said retweet, but I said it now.
And
right there.
Fantastic. And he nailed it. GM, fresh off the heels of another loss and a chance to win a championship, Heartbreak Houston stands tall above all else once again, without fail. The last title we got to garner, hold up, in basketball terms was, I guess it'd be the Comets in the late 90s. But
No. It was 2000.
2000. Oh, yeah, good call. Mm-hmm. But once again, we're slumped, we're in our misery right now.
We're not down too bad, but we're still down pretty bad.
How you doing today, good sir?
Wanted a victory last night.
I did too.
It was right.
Did too.
We were right on the cusp. Not really.
I was like cusp before the tip-off we were.
Yeah, that was probably the closest chance we had. The team they weren't in sync last night, and
you could
they
tell.
felt tired legs from playing the night before, but what can you do?
But how are you doing, though, otherwise? You holding up okay?
It's good. It's hot out there, man. Y'all, I always say this, hydrate.
If you are
use your
Houston,
sunscreen.
Please do, for the love of
and,
God.
You see this tan on me? I didn't ask for this. But, hey, man, now I'm golden.
I enjoy running outside, so it's like I enjoy pain at this point in my life. Like, I'm just like, you know what? Bring me all the pain. Give me 105-degree heat, 4-mile run. Just give it to me. Let's fucking go.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm at right now.
He's all about taking in the heat and cardio, and I'm all about avoiding the heat and sitting and being a lazy bum.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
There you go.
GM, fresh off the heels once again on the Summer League loss to, I was about to say Portland Trailblazers. I don't know why they're in my head right now, but to the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yep.
So, man, you know what the messed up part about all of this is? I had this whole big idea planned, and it's a shame because I can't even do it anymore. Dude, I had this full thing planned. It was going to be like a great clip for the episode. I was going to dress up. Shout-outs to my wrestling fans. If you know who Seth Rollins is, you'll totally get the joke. I would have dressed up like I was going to rock 2 championships, sunny shades, a fur coat, gold on my wrists. Like, I was going to just drip up and drip out for this episode if the Rockets won the Summer League championship. I was going to be insufferable.
I believe it. But, all Cleveland did was just, Drew Carey said that Cleveland rocks, and they sat us the fuck down.
Well, I'll tell you something that absolutely does rock, and that is currently our YouTube channel. That's right. We are currently on the Apollo HOU network. Shouts to our Day One Is H listeners. Put it on a shirt. All the way from 2020 till now. You can now watch all of our future episodes like this one on YouTube on the Apollo HOU network. Type in at Apollo HOU, and you will find all of our glorious episodes loud, live, and officially in color. Once again, that is at Apollo HOU. Please super kick that subscribe button. I almost super kicked you. That's to receive notifications on not just our content, but to the best sports content Houston has to offer. Shout outs to BTD, who just did their most recent episode at Big City Wings in Copperfield. So shout outs to them for killing it. GM, let's go ahead and move on now. Let's talk some Summer League, man. So the base of this episode is we want to talk Summer League, but we do want the meat potatoes to obviously be about Kevin Porter Jr., but I do want to touch up on this Summer League. It was a great run. What a great time to be a Houston Rockets fan. Obviously did not end it
didn't end on a good note.
Did not end how we wanted it to end.
Just a little sour.
Just a little. We lost by 21. The final score was 99-78. The Houston Rockets ultimately taking the L with a chance to win the Summer League championship. Once again, another championship slips between the fingers of the Houston Rockets. Overall impressions of the game, good sir.
Nate Hinton's a dog. That man
Nate Hinton, cousin of Dex.
There you go.
He's not really his cousin.
Matthew Mayer, the man can shoot the ball.
Shoot the rock.
Who else? Fletcher McGee looks like he was a PE coach at First Colony Middle School with that haircut.
Dude, he looks like Gunta. Am I the only one that says it?
Keeps saying
he
that.
looks like Gunta. Am I the only one that sees it?
Yeah, I mean, overall, the impact was is that it was a good coming out party for Cam Whitmore to prove the haters wrong.
Shout outs to the MVP.
He was
Won
MVP.
the MVP.
Congratulations to Cam Whitmore, Summer League MVP. Who else? We already mentioned Nate
we got
Hinton.
the start.
Yeah, Trevor Hudgens.
Trevor Hudgens.
Gotta have a shout out to the point guard, man. The man shot the ball very well outside of last night.
4 of 15 from the floor last night. Definitely not one of his better efforts. You're not going to win many games as the starting point guard in a Summer League going 4 of 15. Yeah. Actually shooting the second most shots on the team outside of a Cam Whitmore.
Of course.
Well deserved, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Trevor Hudgens has been shooting the ball relatively
feed the ball
well
to your boys?
for the Summer League. Yeah, he's been shooting the ball relatively well. Cam Whitmore, of course, he was the best player on the squad. He was a Summer League MVP, and he was out to prove something.
By far.
But unfortunately, Sam Merrill and Isaiah Mobley had other plans. And
Isaiah Mobley looked like prime Tim Duncan last night. I was like
Kevin Garnett
what am I seeing here? Second chance boards. I'm like, dude, I'm getting flashes of the 2019-2020 Rockets. Oh, that's my food. My food's ready. So, yeah, by the way, we're not in our usual recording spot either. But go ahead and let that beep go through. But I have shades of like the 2019-2020 Rockets because I just felt like we were just getting outboarded. Size
was certainly an issue for the last game. Cleveland had our number. We faced a squad that we just weren't able to keep up with. The volume was there in terms of shots. The opportunities were there when Cleveland was missing buckets, but we just couldn't convert on our opportunities to come back and thrive. It was just unfortunate, but it was a good showing overall for the whole Summer League. We saw things that we did want to see. We got to see a Jabari Smith Jr. Clinic.
I mean, he got highlighted at halftime.
Yeah,
he got his own highlight. Victor Wembanyama.
Yeah, rightfully so. Jabari Smith Jr. earned it. The man was prepared and ready this time around. I'm hoping that converts into season 2 of his career under Coach Ime Udoka. And Tari Eason, the man was, he was a great
played
ball.
Head and shoulders.
He was a great ball of fire, man.
Almost felt like another season watching Amen Thompson, Jabari, and Tari play. We realized they're playing within 1 week of each other.
It's a completely different world.
It felt like a completely different world, than the team that played in the finals. GM, I think a big reason why this team also lost was because the only player that actually shot 50% and over starter-wise was shooting guard Nate Hinton at 7 of 13 from the floor. I mean, let's go down the stat line. Cam Whitmore, 6 of 17, Darius Day's 1 of 6. Jermaine Samuels Jr., the center, 3 of 11. Trevor Hudgens, 4 of 15. A recipe for disaster.
Yes.
The bench played very well shooting-wise. Fletcher McGee, 3 of 6. Matthew Mayer, 3 of 3. The bench played fine, but those starters, you're looking at 35% from the field, 16%, 27%, 53 for Nate Hinton, and then 26% from the field, 78 points. You're not going to win any game. Summer League, G League, NBA, you're not winning any games.
Honestly, if it wasn't...
It was a terrible shooting game.
If it wasn't for the chaotic second quarter, we could have easily lost this game by 40. If it wasn't for the chaotic second quarter and how hot we got. But, with all of that being said, it just wasn't meant to be. But there are bigger things coming for Houston in regards to the regular season. Summer League was great. It was a great experience. And now we're going to go through, 3 months of no basketball whatsoever.
Well, actually, no. 2 months? 2.5 maybe? We're already in July 18.
Yeah, but it's going to be...
But training camp is going to be late
right.
September. So we got about 2 months. 2
Is
months
it late
roughly.
September?
Or is it early October?
I don't remember.
Maybe training camp is early October. Well, it depends on when media day is, because you got media day and then you have training camp.
Yep.
So but it is going to be a long lull in regards to basketball, garnering any big time trades going down, like if a James Harden trade goes down. But this is all just going to be news. I think this is mostly the time where Rockets fans, especially Rockets Twitter, shouts to Rockets Twitter and NBA Twitter as a whole, they're going to salivate at the thought of seeing any workout videos. If someone pops up, shouts to Josh Christopher, former Rocket, popped up in the Drew League with his Drew League debut.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's true.
This is where you're going to start seeing archival footage. Oh man, Jalen Green popped up in the Drew League. Oh my goodness, Kevin Porter Jr. was spotted at a YMCA. Any little sliver of footage, and everyone's gonna be like, oh my god, we're flipping out, because that's how
we'll
desperate
see some of
we
these
are.
guys playing at Fondy. Who knows? Or but
I would love to see that actually.
Like you
Fondy,
said, Twitter is gonna be
salivating
for any type of footage of any of our players doing anything.
Yeah.
And, we saw some stuff with Dylan Brooks, Jabari Smith Jr., and Tari Eason.
That's the content we need,
Vegas.
man.
We got some Fred VanVleet and Jalen Green together as well.
Fred VanVleet, man.
So, I'm really curious to see what's going to happen. I want to see more of these guys working together.
100%.
Especially Fred VanVleet and Jalen Green. That is going to be a tandem to deal with. And... I'm so excited, man.
Shout outs to one of my favorite wrestlers turned actors, Batista. I want it, and give me what I want.
Yeah,
give me what I want.
Give him what he wants.
I want it. Give me what I want.
Yeah, Batista said it best.
Well, he forgot his line, and then he had nothing else to say, so he was like, I kept saying, give me what I want, until Triple H finally cut him off. So that was the whole setup. But no mess ups here. I just want more content. Anything Rockets related, please. This is the first time in 3+ years where this team can actually be competitive. Please, for the love of God.
The excitement levels have hit a whole
you could
level.
Just Summer League. This is the most exciting Summer League in years, maybe? Jalen Green, the debut of Jalen Green, obviously big.
Yeah.
Jabari Smith, not as big as Jalen, but still pretty anticipated. But I think it was the idea of getting Amin Thompson, Jabari Smith. Who's going to show up at the Summer League games? Is Ime Udoka going to be there? You know what I mean?
Ime Udoka was at every single game.
Right.
He was every single game.
By the way, can we give a shout out to Ben Sullivan? Freaking killed it as the Summer League head coach. Dude, he is the assistant for the Houston Rockets, the shooting guru, and he played this team as best as he could. And a lot of talent dropped off. You're looking at Jabari Smith, Amin Thompson, and Tari Eason, 3 big monsters on the team, and they basically faded out. And now you're playing with these players, these invitees, and he still found a way to get them to the finals. Cam Whitmore was a stud, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But without Ben Sullivan's coaching, you don't get to the Summer League finals and basically go undefeated the whole way.
Absolutely. Shout out to those guys. The guys that aren't going to be on the roster, highly unlikely. Outside of Cam Whitmore, Trevor Hudgens.
I'm in on it. Sign Nate
maybe
Hinton.
Darius Days. I'm not sure.
Now sign Nate Hinton.
But
I want him.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to those guys.
Put him in Rio Grande, bro. Put him somewhere.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see if he'll be a training camp invitee. That would be great. Nate Hinton did a great job of showing the world that he can play ball, and he was mic'd up for the final game. The man was ready and prepared to take advantage of any opportunity that was presented to himself. And you can tell the man wants a job, and the man deservedly so deserves a job. Shout out to the other guys, like you said. What is it?
Darius Days, Jermaine Samuels, Fletcher McGee,
Yeah.
Matthew Mayer. These were guys that were in the trenches.
And you know what? We got to pour one out for the former Summer League center, Jay Huff,
I don't have a
signed
drink.
with the Denver Nuggets.
I don't have a drink. I don't have a drink. How can I cheers? Give me
You
your
know-
water bottle. I need something.
So, sometimes what happens is that these guys leave, and unfortunately, like Boyce II Men said, it is so hard to say goodbye to what we had yesterday.
I think it's way too poignant for a player like Jay
Cheers.
Huff, but sure, I'll give it to you.
I'm
I don't
just
think it's that
really
serious.
feeling nostalgic here.
I guess
you know?
so for a guy named Jay Huff.
I got really Jay Huffer Jr.
He was.
Big Green.
I know who Jay Huffer Jr. is, Justin. You didn't need to reference the movie.
I love Big Green.
I know you love Big Green. I'm more of a Brink guy, but hey, teach
Touche,
your own.
man. Hey, man. I mean, Gold Cup. We cover soccer too on the side. Big soccer guy over here as well.
Big soccer guy. Oh, he's
There
a
you
huge
go.
soccer guy, but I'm actually covering some Space Cowboys content now, so
There you go.
coming down on the
Coming
way.
in
we
hot.
just hustle. That's
Coming
what we
in
do.
hot.
We are just not one trick ponies, all right? We don't just stick to one certain area. I can go for the World Heavyweight Championship, but I can go for the tag team titles if I so choose. If I want to jump into NXT and go for the NXT Championship, I can so choose.
The man wants the Grand Slam title.
I would love the Grand Slam title. GM, let's go ahead and move forward here. Look, I wanted to devote an episode towards this because he has been kind of the man that has kind of fallen by the wayside in terms of players being talked about, because you have Fred VanVleet now, who's going to be the starting point guard. You got Dylan Brooks.
Yep.
You have, a third year of Jalen Green. You're going to get the second year of Jabari Smith. You get the draftees of Amen Thompson, who is a point guard. Tari Eason going into his second year. The excitement of Cam Whitmore, that a certain player seemed to have fallen. Well, two even. I'll include the second one as Alperen Şengün as well. One player kind of has fallen between the cracks in terms of topic of conversation, and that player is Kevin Porter Jr. And I do want to discuss, put this episode out just to talk about Kevin Porter Jr., like what he is currently, what his role is going to be on the team. Shout out to Kelly Iko, who actually had a report saying that Kevin Porter Jr. is willing to do any role. He doesn't care. He said he'll start, come off the bench, whatever, what have you. But I want to just talk about Kevin Porter Jr., like what we think his state of mind is currently. What role is he going to have on the team? Starter, coming off the bench, and ultimately fitting in a new coach like an Ime Udoka with a more structured system.
Absolutely.
And I think we should just go ahead and talk about this, but I do want to kind of catalog Kevin Porter Jr.'s illustrious career so far, because it's been an unusual journey for Kevin Porter Jr. And I think not a lot of people mostly know him as the Houston Rocket shooting guard that basically turned into a point guard. And I think that the question and the rule was he ever going to be fully the point guard of the Rockets? Some people say yes, some people say no, and so. He was highly touted in high school. He was like a top 5 prospect at one point coming out of high school. Ultimately went to college and dropped very low. Got drafted with the 30th pick in the 2019 draft, the last sole pick of the first round. Played for the Cleveland Cavaliers for about a year or 2 or 2 years.
No, it was 1 year. It was 1
year, and then he
year.
got into his second year.
Yeah, he was a very
The locker
controversial exit.
Right, very controversial exit. The infamous locker room incident that happened ultimately found his way to Houston. I'll always say this, for a late second round protected pick with a handshake and a bag of chips, and he found his way to Houston, opened it up in the G League, had his coming out party, 50 points, dropped it on Drew Holiday's head. Don't let anyone ever forget it. That did happen. And ultimately became the point guard in his second year took over for John Wall, and ultimately a very talented player. I'll always say this, top 5 bag in the NBA, but a very, very, very controversial player. Not even, which is interesting too, because I I mean, he's not Dennis Rodman. You know what I mean? Like
No.
when you think of controversial players,
I think
you know what I
it's
mean?
partially to doing of his style of play being converted as a point guard.
It's just not his fault.
Yeah, I agree.
Like,
I mean, the team acquired him
They
for a
believed in
reason. They
him.
believed in him, which is a great thing. But also, it has to do with the other side, which is the fans, Rockets Twitter, and a lot of the banter that goes on along the lines of Twitter. I'm not trying to hate on any sort of fandom, but it's just kind of like when it becomes a little bit over the top, people tend to go to the extreme other side just to prove other people wrong, and it's been a little toxic. It's been very toxic.
There
subject
go.
of
Let's
Kevin
call a
Porter,
spade a spade,
the
GM.
subject of Kevin Porter Jr. and Rockets Twitter has been very, very toxic, and it's unfair, and
Very
it's
unfair.
what accompanies him. I mean, granted, his behavior last year with Christian Wood during the Denver Nuggets game, I think that was New Year's Day or New Year's Eve. I'm not 100% sure, but that game kind of like put it over the top, and a little bit of his body language after in the foreseeable games that year with Christian Wood was kind of bad. So with all that being said, I don't know.
Okay, so let's talk about this. Well, Jim, where do we want to break it down? Like, where do we want to start with the Kevin Porter Jr.? You pick. You like where do we start? Like, we gotta unpack this.
Well, the first thing that we should definitely unpack is his role. Kelly Ego said, like you quoted today, saying that Kevin Porter Jr. is more and ready and willing to be whatever role Ime Udoka asks. I mean, you can see his faith and his commitment to this team by being the only player that showed up to the press conference for Ime Udoka. The man has been training very hard this offseason. We haven't seen too many clips of a KPJ.
But I know he's a workhorse though.
He absolutely is a
I'm
workhorse.
not doubting his work
I mean,
just because I don't see it.
Like,
and if you doubt it, you got a problem.
yeah, absolutely.
I'm just
I mean,
kidding.
there are a lot of things that people dislike about Kevin Porter Jr.
Right.
But I think the things that people dislike are because of the fact of him playing out of position, and the thing about this upcoming season and his role is that he won't have to be that guy to lead this team. There's another player that just signed in Fred VanVleet to be the lead point guard. And then there's another guy that they just drafted, Amen Thompson, who will be the backup point guard, who is a true point guard. You got two true point guards ahead of a Kevin Porter Jr., which allows Kevin Porter Jr. to do what he does best, play off the ball. When he does have the ball, he is very dynamic. But the thing about this is that with less opportunities, it gives him the opportunity. Hold on, let me rephrase that. With less opportunities on the ball, it gives him more opportunities to be efficient in other aspects of his game. And then when he does have the ball, it allows him to be more dynamic because there are better players on the floor with him, for one. So he may not get the most premier perimeter defender on him. So allow him to cook, especially against second teamers. So with all that being said, Kevin Porter Jr. can thrive, but it is all about his maturity and whether or not they say that he is willing, but we got to see what happens during the season if issues do arise, whether or not Kevin Porter Jr. will respond positively. But I have faith to believe in the fact that he can absolutely fall in line because the man has grown. The last press media day last year.
Yep.
The man looked like he was at peace.
And he has been, like, people tend to forget he didn't have any controversies.
Yeah,
like,
he stayed out of the headlines.
There was nothing.
And I'm only
Like-
and people try to find things to dislike
was
about the man, which is
nothing.
rightfully so. Occasionally the man would chuck, and Jalen is just as guilty. But
you're on that team in that iteration
yeah,
with Steven
you're
Silas.
on a young team.
You chuck,
with
that's-
absolute zero direction. You got a clown for a coach. No offense.
Wow.
But he was just a talking head. That's all he was. And I don't mean any sort of disrespect, but all it shows is that the guys ran it, not him. And unfortunately, that's how it went. But with a real coach at the helm, I think Kevin Porter Jr. will fall in line, and I have complete faith to believe that the man will absolutely thrive
Well,
under Ime.
You're talking about like position, and when I think about that, is that we were gonna have the 5 starters on the floor, and the ones that we had already predicted. We put out the graphic. If you're on Instagram, please follow us at @SummitStateOfMind_pod, because we already put the graphic up for our predicted starting 5, and I'm pretty sure this is gonna be the starting 5. You're looking at Fred VanVleet at the 1, Jalen Green at the 2, Dylan Brooks at the 3, Jabari Smith at the 4, and Şengün at the 5. Kevin Porter Jr.'s name is nowhere to be found there. Kevin Porter Jr. coming off the bench as of July 18 seems like the most likely scenario.
Absolutely.
Right? And the thought of it is salivating, because off the bench, right out of the cup right now, you're going to have Kevin Porter Jr. as the 6th man, Tari Eason, Amen Thompson, Jay Sean Tate,
Absolutely.
Cam Whitmore if he finds his way into the
And
rotation.
Jock Landale.
Jock Landale. That's literally, we just named 11 players.
Yeah.
Like, that is a 10-man road. Like, with my like I said, we said this last episode, Cam Whitmore probably isn't going to get it. Jock Landale's probably going to land that 9th or 10th spot. Maybe even 8th, actually, just considering that they need size and positioning and center and size to help against the big men. But let me throw a chaos scenario at you, because this is where I think, shout outs to, first of all, shout outs to KP. Like, I'm serious. Like, I've said this, and I'll say this time and time again. If you're watching this on YouTube, you'll see the shirt I'm wearing. It's the freaking Joker. This is who he is. This is the man that he's become. And, like,
I mean, you said you were the one that
top
would say
5
There you
bag.
go.
I will always say,
Top 5
have
bag
a
in the
drink
league.
every time I say top 5 bag. I promise you'll be drunk after a couple shots. Like, not condoning drinking, but if you have fun and you're at home or you're at a bar and not driving. But I'm just saying, like, this is Kevin Porter Jr. Okay, top 5 bag in the NBA. No one can touch him in terms of dribbling and ball handling skills. I think he's so good. I think at his peak, he's such a smart player. He's so savvy. His acceleration to deceleration, so similar to James Harden. Bags similar to James Harden. And step back jumpers over, a high percentage from 3 on the stand and shoot. With all that being said, especially with the fact that if Kevin Porter Jr. is locked in defensively, he can be a decent defender.
Absolutely.
Let me throw the chaos scenario at you, GM. What if Kevin Porter Jr. outplays Jalen Green? Kevin Porter Jr. is a 2. Jalen Green. It could happen, because
I highly
Ime
doubt
Udoka
it.
said guys
can
need to earn playing time. This is why I'm calling it chaos scenario. Most likely not going to happen, but I'm just saying.
I know you're a big fan of chaos scenarios.
Let's present the chaos scenario, because look, it's most likely it's not going to happen, but I've seen weirder things happen in the NBA. I mean, for the love of all that is mighty. I mean, it wasn't Ime Udoka, but we did see Daniel Tice starting over. At one point.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That was quite.
We got
the
the
time.
Daniel Tice year. We got the year that what was that? Bruno Fernando starting over LP. It's like,
Oh, man.
we've seen weirder scenarios happen, and Kevin Porter Jr., if he outplays Jalen, I could possibly see Ime saying, you know what, Jalen Green, he's an instant 20-plus points off the bench.
Yep.
Why not let him start on the bench? We have to present that as a possible scenario. Most likely not to happen. But Kevin Porter Jr. may just outplay Jalen. Kevin Porter Jr. might just be a better fit next to Fred VanVleet. We just don't know.
We don't know yet.
You know what I mean? But like, as a chaos scenario like that's very interesting to think about, because Ime Udoka's, the big thing for me was what he said on his press conference. Guys got to earn their playing time. He didn't say starting spot. That's a whole nother ball game. But he did say PT. They have to earn their PT. And, outside of a Fred VanVleet and a Dylan Brooks, these guys got to earn it. So we're going into this scenario now of the season where someone like a Kevin Porter Jr., who looks like he is kind of in a weird spot, you know what I mean? Because he's so highly touted, so highly sought after when we first acquired him.
Yep.
Such a deeply talented, rooted player who finally found peace in his last year. No controversies whatsoever. It's so weird, because I think I really personally, I like Kevin Porter Jr. I think he's a great ball player. The question, like you said, is mentally, is he willing to accept the role that is given to him if he does come off the bench?
Yeah.
So I think it boils down to, at least, from our first topic anyways on Kevin Porter, is what, when we put this scenario in front of us, is that it's not game 1 that I care about. I feel like game 1 he'll be fine. I feel like game 1 he'll if he comes off the bench, he's going to hit like 15, 16 points.
Yeah.
Call it a day. 4 assists maybe, couple rebounds, solid game, right? Game 32, where are we at? He's still on the bench.
Yeah.
How is he going to feel? That's the only thing that I would have uncertainty over. But if last year has told us anything, is that since he's more at peace, will he stay patient? And will he accept this James Harden light role like in OKC and just be a freaking killer to all the second teamers like you were saying earlier?
I definitely agree that it's certainly something to keep an eye on, but maturity has definitely been a thing. The man has stayed out. The man has stayed out of the spotlight. He's done a great job of just putting his head down and working. And I think he understands the type of controversy that can accompany him. And Kevin Porter Jr. has the absolute self-awareness, the wherewithal to understand that he doesn't need his name in the headlines. He's just going to stay quiet. He's going to work hard, and he's going to show that eye of the tiger during training camp. And I think that competition in any position is a good thing for this roster.
Especially with the roster now.
Absolutely. And Jalen and KPJ challenging each other will just make them better. I don't think that Kevin Porter Jr. can overtake Jalen Green, but hey man, if he's pushing Jalen to the point that Jalen has to go above and beyond to earn that starting spot, then kudos. Because all that will do for Jalen Green is elevate him even bigger. Kevin Porter Jr., elevate him even bigger. With
That's right,
this
brother.
roster around him, there is definitely potential of him garnering some interest as a sixth man of the year. He averaged what, 19 points a game last year.
GM,
And,
if he buys in, oh my god.
Yeah, and
this team will be freaking good.
He will definitely.
This team will be freaking good.
He will definitely be getting shots, especially alongside playing with an Amen Thompson. And if he does get PT with Fred VanVleet, the man is going to get open opportunity after opportunity. Whether it's cutting to the basket or hovering around the three-point line, he's going to get many of opportunities alongside these point guards. And Rockets fans should be salivating at the possibility of an Amen KPJ backcourt. Like that is going to be
your second
something
unit
to see. Absolutely, and that's a lengthy ass second unit.
Good luck,
and
good luck to the league.
It's crazy to think that
this team is so fucking
KPJ
talented.
was a guy
It's a
that
joke. This
was
team is
a
so
starter,
talented.
was seen as a savior almost by a select few. I wouldn't say a select few, by a lot of the young Rocket fans, because he was the quote-unquote heir apparent that some people indoctrinated him as after James Harden left. I mean, I don't think that was a fair judgment for him. It never was. That's a pedestal that not many players will really reach.
No one could really reach.
Let alone even a Houston Rocket player.
Yeah. Go be KPJ. Be Scoot.
Exactly.
Don't be James Harden. Don't be an heir apparent.
Just be that guy. Be you and succeed with what you are great at and thrive. And I have complete trust that Ime will put him in situations to succeed, whether or not he is starting. And we have every reason to believe now that KPJ will fall in line and figure it out in that way. And I think that there will be a time when we're in the playoffs or, barring a trade, if anything, that we're going to see some big games of KPJ in the play-in or a playoff, where he's going to go off out of nowhere.
We've seen him in big game situations. He performs.
Exactly. The man's a flamethrower.
He performs when the lights are brightest. He loves performing.
He's hit big buckets, too, alongside of a Jabari Smith Jr. who's hit big bucket after big bucket.
Well, it's interesting that you say that because I do want to touch up on this. His stat line last year was something to behold considering that it was still under Steven Silas, second worst team in the NBA, but he played 59 games. It's not where you want it to be. He needs to be playing in more games. He was very injury prone last year. He did get injured. That ankle's he needs to get that fixed. He needs to see the person that fixed Steph Curry's ankles because there's just something going on there. But in 59 games, he averaged 34 minutes a game, 19 points, 44% from the field. Here's the key, GM, 36.6% from the three.
Yeah,
it's a good percentage. 5 rebounds, 5.7 steals, and 5.7 assists, 1.4 steals a game. Solid freaking stat line. And the crazy thing is, and I'm looking at the stat line now, I can see the minutes obviously going down, 34 minutes, going down maybe to like 27 to 28.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I can see the points going down only slightly. I could see him still averaging 17 to 18. I can see
that's
that.
definitely a possibility. The one thing that you do want to look at, though, the last 3 years he's been here, he's averaged at least 3 turnovers. This year,
that's just
I
the turnover
see him
ratio.
averaging less
We've
than
talked
2
about this.
because he will not be handling the ball as much. And I am hoping that this allows KPJ to thrive in a way where he's playing mistake-free basketball and he's playing in a role that allows him to push and succeed. And I don't know, man. Like, I think people know that I'm not the biggest KPJ stan. I do like KPJ. I've had moments where I've been done with him. I've had moments where he's an absolute joy to watch.
Top 5 bag. Drink.
Yeah, there you go. And the thing with that is that it has nothing, like, everything had to do with the role that he was put in, and it's not his fault. Now we get to see him thrive, and he can be the third point guard theoretically. Like, he's like break glass in case of emergency kind of guy, and that's a pretty good dude to put in break glass in case of emergency. Because he can revert back to that role. But after following Fred VanVleet and Amen Thompson, he'll have a better understanding of what it's like to be a point guard, because he didn't have that in front of him the last 3 years. So,
well, he had John Wall. He had John Wall.
He wasn't even there, really.
I know.
He wasn't
I'm
even
just
there.
saying. I mean, he had John Wall to a degree. He had John
To
Wall.
a degree, sure,
but not a full season of
No.
a star in his prime.
Yeah,
like
there
Fred
you go.
VanVleet.
There you go. And that is just gonna be so valuable. And those type of resources do not come along every day. And, KPJ is just going to be, like I've said it time and time again, the man is going to thrive on this team. And there are people that aren't fans of him, rightfully so. There's nothing wrong with critiquing him. There's nothing wrong with it. When you're overtly critiquing, that's definitely an issue. When you're overtly on the other side of being a super fan, I mean, it can be a little problematic.
I find it hilarious that like a lot of the fans seem to streamline themselves as either a super fan or a super hater. Like, I'm just like, why do you have to be one or the other? Like, we've critiqued KPJ on this show. Like, no one's free. Dude, I critique my son. I critique Jabari. Like,
yeah.
We critique this is what the platform is, ladies and gentlemen, is that, if you're listening to this or any other show, not just Rockets, it could be Rockets, it could be sports, anything.
Yeah.
It's going to be opinions, because we're pseudo media. That's what we do. We have to break down all the good, and we got to break down all the bad. So Kevin Porter Jr., we've talked negatively about Kevin Porter Jr., but we've also talked very glowingly about Kevin Porter Jr.
Yeah.
And why can't, that's been my whole thing with fans, is just like, we don't need to be, fully a hater, or we don't need to be fully, a full KPJ stan. Like, if you're a big fan of his, that's great. If he's what led you to your love of the NBA, oh my God, ride that shit. Because that's exactly what it was. That's what it was for me. That's what, in the early 2000s, that's what T-Mac brought to me.
Yeah.
Brought that joy to me. Shouts to T-Mac, friend of the show. Like, we literally, like, if that's what it is, that's great.
Yeah.
But, we also need to understand the other side of it is just like, this is still a team that's going to be ran in a certain way and structured a certain way. But on the other side of the coin, the haters, like, I'm just like, guys, like, why are we spouting like rhetoric at KPJ? Like, why? Like, he's actually worked his tail off. He hasn't done anything wrong. So my thought process is like, yo, don't attack this dude. Like, like, this dude actually was fine for like this whole last season. Like, he earned it.
Yeah.
He earned it, and he did it the right way. So I'm just like, why are we getting these attacks? And it's just, a lot of it just seems very unwarranted, in my opinion.
Yeah, I feel that. A lot of the banter on Twitter, I don't want to like blame
let's not deep dive into that. But yeah.
I mean,
know
I'm
what
just
you
going
mean.
to say a little bit of this, is that a lot of, like I said, the overt fandom can lead to a lot of negativity on the other side, and trying to fight their point. I'm not going to name anybody. There are people that we know that aren't the biggest KPJ fans. We have friends that just were completely against him playing the point guard position, but we also have friends that truly believed that he could thrive as the point guard, and rightfully so. I mean, I think there are arguments for both sides. Numbers can go either way just based on how you view it. But, I just think a lot of the unwarranted issues were not because of Kevin Porter Jr. himself, but it was just because of the people that were fans and non-fans alike. But that's all I got to say about that, man. I don't want to dig too deep into it.
No, we don't want to dig too deep into that.
KPJ is definitely someone that he is a controversial enigma in terms of Rocket fandom. And if you're a fan of the Rockets, you want to see him thrive. And
I want to see him thrive.
Exactly. And you want to see him thrive in a way that leads to wins. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I get it that people have a view of how they want to build the team. That's very fair. We all do. I mean, there are players that I probably would deal to help move this team forward. There are probably players that are.
This is true.
Yeah. So I mean,
this is true.
That with all that, it's just
we're still sports media people. At the end of the day, we're gonna do what we want to do.
We're definitely a fan podcast,
absolutely,
for sure.
But okay, so GM, by the time October rolls around, it begs the question: when Game 1 for the Houston Rockets start, Game 1 of the 82-game season, where does Kevin Porter Jr. What's his role on the court? Does he find a way to start? Does he come off the bench?
Sixth man. I think he will start the season as the sixth man.
How about this? Give me his minutes. Give me his role. Give me his minutes. Give me his points. Give me the stat line.
26 minutes a game.
Okay.
We're going to go 15.7 points a game.
Wow. Oh, very exact.
3 rebounds, 4 assists. Maybe still get a steal a game. He's going to average 39% from 3. I say this because he's going to get a lot of opportunities. He's going to hit he's probably going to hit over 44% on catch and shoot threes, and that's what he's going to get a lot of.
Yeah.
He won't be having to play those contested step back threes as often. He's still going to shoot them. I think his 3-point attempts may actually go up based on his opportunities, but we'll see.
Yeah. There's a chance.
We'll see about that.
There's a chance.
His turnovers will definitely go down. I'm hoping he goes to like 1.5 to 1.8 turnovers a game. But yeah, with all that, I see him maybe starting like 6, 7, 8 games. Just because we still have to talk about injuries that do occur for the players. And I feel like he's going to be dependable in terms of, and also this, he did have issues with his injuries the past few years. With less minutes, it allows him to not have as much wear and tear, unless Draymond Green decides to shove him from behind and hurt his hamstring again. But
longevity, that's right. Because the minutes are lessening too. So especially
the
with
wear
his body
and tear
like
is
that,
definitely going to help with the less minutes. Responsibility, definitely. It's going to allow him to focus on other parts of his game, like the defensive end, like you stated, and the shooting aspect. He won't have to handle the ball, run an offense. He just kind of has to be a part of the flow of an offense. He won't have to think as much. I mean, he'll still have the vision, but the thing about it is that it's just not his responsibility anymore. When you alleviate someone of a responsibility that could have been a little overwhelming, you will see them play a little less tense, a little bit more smoothly, and I think that I'm very keen to seeing that version of a Kevin Porter Jr.
But what's going on in his mind, though? That's my thing. It's just like, could you imagine like putting yourself in his shoes? You signed a big extension. You were basically going to be the point guard. You were groomed to be the point guard of the team. Where they believed in you. So far that they told John Wall to stay home. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And now you're coming back. You're still young, by the way. I mean, Kevin Porter Jr. is probably like, 23, 24?
I think he's like 22.
He's 23 right now.
Yeah.
So, like, a young 23-year-old... I mean, to give it as a point of context, James Harden got traded here when he was 23.
Exactly.
So, point of context, right?
But also, James Harden was a 6th man of the year.
Right,
he was an Olympian.
No, that's what I'm saying. So. But the whole point of what I'm trying to say is that, like, think about it from his perspective. You have this idea that, like, you were groomed to be the point guard, big extension, you're still young, you're 23 years old, and now you're being knocked back to being a 6th man. Like, I would 100% from a competitive basketball player standpoint, I I get it. Like, if that hurts him a little bit, I get that. Because that does hurt the ego.
Naturally, it should.
Right.
It should, and it's
and
not.
that's a good thing.
It's not a bad thing. It's
so
definitely,
if it hurts, like
it's a healthy hurt.
Right. So if Kelly Iko, saying, "Oh yeah, he's on board," like yeah, he's gonna be on board, but if feelings gonna be hurt a little bit, yeah, absolutely.
He's still human.
He's still human.
Yeah.
But my hope is that this is gonna be like a competitive drive in him.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? Like, if this is my role, I'm gonna be the greatest six man ever lived.
There you go.
You know what I mean? Like that's
And
the type of mindset.
That's how it should be.
Positive energy.
There you go.
That he needs to have. So I'm hoping. And to go back to the original point, you said, so you gave your stat line. I'm gonna give mine right now. You said about 26 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm hovering around 28 minutes. Okay. 28 minutes a game. I think his scoring will stay at 17.
Okay.
I think he'll average 4 rebounds, 4 assists. I think he will average, I think the 40% from 3, we're locked in, we're simpatico there. I think his average field goal percentage goes up to almost 50. I think it goes up to 49 just because of shot selection alone. Think about all the drives he's going to get, all the space he's going to get to work with the threat of a Fred VanVleet in the corner. You know what I mean?
Touché.
With a cutting Amen Thompson, with all of these options, more shooters to work with.
Yeah, it's true.
The shooting percentage can go
An
up.
improved Jabari Smith Jr. and Tari Eason.
I'm telling you, man.
Yeah.
Buy in. Guys, I'm telling you right now, if Kevin Porter Jr. fully buys into the 6-man role, this team avoids the play-in. 6th seed in the playoffs.
Jeez.
If Kevin Porter buys in, if Kevin Porter fully buys into this role as the 6th man and everyone clicks on all cylinders,
Yeah.
surprise of the West, Rockets will be the 6th seed. They will
You'd be
avoid
like
the play-in.
the Memphis of 2 or 3 years ago.
Why
what it was,
isn't
yeah?
it possible? Hashtag why not us, GM?
I love your positivity, man.
Someone's gotta be
I really
positive.
do. I love your positivity.
If Kevin Porter Jr. fully buys into the 6-man role,
Ooh,
6th
wee.
seed, avoid the play-in. We start a 7-game series back. Game 1 and 2 won't be in Houston, but I'm just saying. The Rockets will finally be back in legit playoff contention. 6th seed. Toyota Center is going to be the epicenter of playoff basketball once again. Kevin Porter Jr., if he buys in, this is it. Calling it now.
I love it. Honestly, I love
With
to
no
hear
issues.
it.
No
I
issues.
love to hear it. Like that's a beautiful thing, and
I think they're capable.
I
At the
really
peak, I think they're
hope
capable.
that we can get there.
I think they are.
I'm not on
Doable.
the same wavelength as the commish, but hey, man, I'll ride with that wave of positivity because I want to see this team back in the playoffs.
Riding that wave.
And we got the players to do it. It might not be this year, maybe next year, but realistically speaking, that's how I feel. But there's nothing wrong with looking at upside. Upside is a huge thing, and it's a great thing to look at because we got potential, plenty of potential on this team. And we'll definitely dive into more players as the summer goes on. But
Yeah,
I really like this little deep dive we did on Kevin Porter Jr.
and definitely needs more to come. I mean, so this is what the summer, we're going to be doing episodes. So we're still going to be going weekly with our episodes, despite the fact that this is the biggest lull in terms of Rockets basketball or NBA content as a whole. But
Touché.
just because the mantra has been the same every offseason, just because the basketball world stops doesn't mean the summit stops. We can continue to chug along. Look, we love the deep dive. We would love to know what y'all think. What players should we cover next? I want to know. What do y'all think?
Yeah, let's hear what the fans have to say.
Yeah,
let's
I gotta.
see, if they have any suggestions of players that they want us to cover and touch on en route to training camp.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to know what y'all think. We'd love to obviously deep dive in. Obviously, we wanted to spotlight a player that we just have not gotten a chance to talk about, just because he hasn't really made news much.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And it's no fault of his
He's been
own.
a little bit forgotten, but there's nothing wrong with that.
That's why we devoted an entire episode
hiding
to Kevin
in the
Porter
shadows,
Jr.
man.
You will not forget. We will not forget you, Joker. We will not. Before Jokic, it was the original Joker. I'm just saying. Just because he won a title. Because all Kevin Porter Jr. has to do now to re-earn this nickname is to just win a title.
Touche, yeah.
And win it next year, 6th seed.
There.
Lowest seed to ever win a championship.
Jeez.
Houston Rockets in 1995.
Wow.
Houston Rockets in 2024. Book it. I'm kidding.
I'm
not that serious. Calm down.
I know you're not, but hearing that, I was like, oof.
He's like, oh man, and the GM is done for this episode. Let's go ahead and close
I'm
here
out.
right now. Well, you can't leave. We're about to close the episode.
Okay, all right.
Okay,
all right.
close, and then we can.
I'll give the people what they want.
Give the people what they want.
So I do, you know. So follow me on Twitter at JP_Mirabueno. Make sure to follow the podcast on Twitter and TikTok at Summit, SOMPOD. You can catch that on the bottom of the screen as well. Follow us on Instagram at Summit State of Mind _POD. Follow the company, our people, our brothers at Apollo NBA and at Apollo HOU. And one thing, if you saw the beginning of the episode, we got a giveaway partnering with Sam and Davey. The company that everyone saw Amen Thompson rockin' when he was at the lemonade stand doing some
charity work
for
That's
the community,
our rookie.
man. So make sure to follow at Summit SOM Pod and at Sam and Davey SAMANDDAVY.
Good job.
On Twitter. And you will have an opportunity to win a shirt from their Clutch City collection. They have a nice little sand color with red lettering and a black shirt with red lettering as well. And as friends of the company and big supporters of the brand, we highly recommend you guys shop at Sam and Davey for those that may not win. They got high quality clothing.
It's really good high quality clothing.
And great representation of the city of H-Town. So make sure to give them your support.
100%. And you can give me a follow on Twitter as well at SummitCommish. Oh, you forgot to mention this, just like almost forgot to mention it in the last episode. Smash that retweet button on that episode. Wow, you forgot it again. Smash the retweet on the giveaway.
Smash the
follow
retweet.
Sam and Davey, follow Summit, retweet. And those are the only three things that you have to do. And you have entered in for a shot. Last time I'm letting you do that one because I gave you 2 tries. You failed them both. So,
but I did say follow. That's part of it. But
so you got 2/3 of the way there. Sure, I'll give you a passable 75, a passable C+.
I'm just an old man that's washed, man. My memory is.
You are a C+ player. I'm kidding. I'm
goodness.
kidding. C+ in the eyes of others.
Triple H is hurting me.
No. You're fine. You're an A+. You know what? You're an A+ co-host. I'll give it to you.
Oh, thank you. I'll take that.
All right. So, yeah, I already said give me a follow, but go ahead and give a follow to the Apollo Podcast Network that continue to kill the game. Shouts to BTD. Beyond the Diamond came out with the most recent episode live at Big City Wings, the crown jewel of Houston Astros podcast. Be sure to give them your first listen for all Houston Astros content. Shoutouts to the Apollo Texans at Apollo Texans Off the Gridiron for your number one listen in terms of all Houston Texans content. Give a shout out to at Apollo Pop Culture. One Take Podcast, your first listen in terms of everything pop culture related, music, TV shows, movies, anything and everything. Oppenheimer and Barbie, I know they're going to be covering that, so be sure to give them a listen. And we appreciate each and every one of y'all for making us your first listen in terms of all Houston Rockets content. Let's go ahead and end episode 172 as our producer gives us the go home cue here. And I'll end this episode as I end every episode. Go Apollo, go Summit. Summer League is over. 2-month lull. They go to rest. Summit stays alive. Go Rockets.